Not sure if you've seen this, but more U.S. farms have filed for bankruptcy in the first 3 months of this year than they did in all of 2024. Now, you might be sitting here saying, well, I'm not a farmer, I don't live in a rural community, so why in the hell should I care? This trend is going to affect all of us, and here's how. This is going to result in higher grocery prices. It's also going to result in corporations taking over, right? Big ag taking over. And we know what happens when big corporations take over. Less quality, higher prices.
Less quality, higher prices. There you go, folks. Today we're going to talk about the farm apocalypse that's happening, and you heard her say it. More farm bankruptcies have been filed so far this year than all in 2024. The entire year 2024, we've already matched that, and we're barely halfway through the year. All right, everybody, you're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. My name is JJ. We're going to talk about the ongoing inflationary scenarios that are playing out here in the United States right now. And many people had a lot of optimism as this new administration came in earlier in the year, in January, and we've seen nothing but higher cost of living, higher prices, inflation still persistent. Things are not working out like many people had expected, to say the least. But now we're going to enter another phase, the next phase, I think, of inflation with all these farm bankruptcies, and there's massive labor shortages, right? So we're going to continue, I think, to see the farm bankruptcies not only continue, but actually get worse. They're going to accelerate here. Let's hear from a few other people, but first, let me just bring you some data here on the reasons behind this. All right, and this is something we predicted, folks, way at the beginning, like over a year ago when they first started talking about the idea of tariffs, and we knew that the workers, most people working on these farms, a lot of them were going to have to get sent back to where they came from. The U.S. agricultural sector is facing a persistent and worsening farm worker shortage in 2025, driven by an ongoing workforce, fewer immigrants entering agriculture, and a reluctance of the U.S. citizenry to take on physically demanding jobs. Yes, Americans, a lot of them are soft, especially the younger generation. They want to sit in an office. They want to be YouTube influencers or what have you. They don't want to work out in a field, folks. These are often low-paying farm jobs. The shortage is exacerbated by factors like immigration enforcement and the challenging nature of farm labor, but also an aging workforce. So we have less younger people now starting families. They can barely afford a place to live. Many people now living at home with their parents into their mid-20s, into their mid-30s and beyond sometimes. Sometimes they never get out of their home. We have people carrying student loan debt in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. We've talked about it right here many times. Less people are starting families, so you have an aging workforce, right? So a whole bunch of different factors combined leading to higher prices. But we saw this coming. The writing's been on the wall for a long time. Why anyone would be surprised at this or shocked at this? I would be shocked if anyone was shocked at this news. But let's hear from a few other people and see how they're breaking it down.
Absolutely terrible news for the farming industry in the United States. So bankruptcies filings are soaring as U.S. farms face inflation and also ICE raids. Between April and March this year, there was 250 Chapter 12 bankruptcies filed for U.S. farms. That's more than the entire year of 2024.
So that's even worse than the first item that we looked at, the first data. He's saying in 1 month exceeded all of 2024. I haven't seen that particular report, but let's continue to listen to what he's saying.
So this is really, really bad news for the farming industry. The farming industry in the United States right now is in distress. They're struggling with inflation. Many of the raw materials that they need to successfully produce and process, for example, like potash, comes from Canada, and the price of that has gone up because of tariffs. Of course, the other problem as well is that they're experiencing labor shortages. ICE raids have made things very difficult for the U.S. farmer, and it's going to become catastrophic this year. It will be catastrophic. Folks, the source for this is the University of Arkansas.
Folks, you know, I'm not on any side of the political aisle. I think most of you know that. Probably all of you know that. But no matter what side you're on, you're going to feel the consequences of this. Are there any alternate solutions? I mean, please let me know what you think down in comments. What are the solutions? Because there's so many different factors playing into this. You know, nobody really knows what to do. I mean, I could think of a few things, but they're things that'll likely never happen, so I won't even bother talking about them here. All right, also, you heard the last person speaking, the cost of materials, raw materials, anywhere from seeds to fertilizers. Fertilizer prices going back up again. Let's bring up some information on that for you here. And I've got a chart here for you. And looking at this here, we see that coming out of 2020, of course, the rapid price increases with inflation across the board going higher came back down. But look what's happening here recently. We're seeing different types of fertilizers on the upward trend once again. So all the talk about the cost of living coming down, inflation coming down, folks, it's not happening. It's continuing to get worse. And how many people on this channel down in comments said, oh, I'm just negative, I'm doom and gloom, things are going to get better, prices are going to crash, some people said. They said the cost of living was going to crash down because things are too expensive. Folks, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. When there's shortages, it doesn't matter how expensive things are, they're going to continue to get more expensive until you fix the supply versus demand problem, right? When there's not enough items for sale and too many people needing to buy it, then prices will stay high. And that's the way it's going to continue to go unless something big changes. All right, let's hear from a couple other people though. Folks, another thing too is the farm equipment is breaking down. I was at a farm store. I actually go there to buy bunny hay. We have 2 pet bunnies. And I talk to different people there from time to time and know the owner. The equipment, the farm equipment, the tractors are breaking down a lot more frequently. Just the quality's not there anymore. Listen to what this guy says. Wes Ellis, 86. Take a listen. He's actually a farmer.
I'm not going to call it advice. I'm going to call it a life lesson by Wes, okay? I've lived this, okay? So I had the little cheap tractor that I bought that I, was paid for. Good little tractor, but it was getting old. Every time I needed to use it, it had to be jump started, or it needed something. The alternator was weak, or something was wrong with it every time I needed to go use it. And as a public job worker, I had to run home, work on it for 30 minutes, and then I could go do stuff. I'll give you an example. I had an old Minneapolis Moline. I had 2 Heston rollers and 2 Massey Ferguson square balers. I went to one little field. I broke all 4 of them. I mean, I broke them bad, all 4 of them machines. They were wore out. I got to the end of the field and
Broke all 4. How crazy is that? That's crazy. And he works a regular job. He's not even a full-time farmer.
the very last bale that it plunged out, sheared a pin, I took my cowboy hat off, I threw it on the ground, I stomped it into the dirt. I said, I freaking quit. I hate this crap. And my dad was standing there. He said, no, don't quit. He said, you're on to something here. He said, keep going. He said, go buy you a good piece of machinery, bring some enjoyment back to what you're doing. So I did that. I went down to the local tractor dealership. I said, I need a tractor. This is how many horsepower I need. I need the cheapest one you got, but I want a brand new one. And I bought one. The payment was fairly cheap at that time. They were 0% interest. From that day forward, my life has got infinitely better. So I'm not trying to talk you into going into debt, okay? Not trying to talk you into that. But if you're out there and you're fighting with everything that you do, you need either a good tractor or the machinery that you hook to it needs to be really good. So the first thing I did was started upgrading tractors. I get asked all the time, Wes, how do you afford all these nice tractors on this little hobby farm you have? I know the value of having a good tractor, so I'm willing to spend money to get it. Even some of my public job money I use to buy those tractors. Now the farm pays for itself. But over the last 8 years, I upgraded mowers, I've upgraded balers, I've upgraded rakes, because I already had a good tractor to hook to them. I guess the moral of the story is you either need a good tractor or good implements to hook to the tractor, because you'll your joy level will go way down when every time you need to do something, you got to go work on it. Now, if you're a full-time farmer and you're like, well, I don't care to spend 30 minutes in the morning working on my tractor, that's fine. But us guys that run home and farm till dark or farm on Saturdays, we need a piece.
Farming after work. So sounds like he's got some equipment that's breaking down, but then sounds like he's invested in better equipment recently because he figured it's not worth it to get the cheaper equipment, I guess. One of the difficulties that farms have to face, and thank goodness for the farmers out there that are still doing it. But you heard the gentleman there, he wanted to quit, and it's frustrating and it's hard work. And people like him, people like that farmer, are becoming fewer and fewer as farms are having a harder time getting by. The cost of operating the farm, everything from the land, the taxes, the supplies, the materials, everything, folks, transportation. And now you throw on top of it labor shortages, tariffs. Folks, it's about ready to get even worse. And I was hoping I wouldn't have to continue saying that. That's been one of the phrases that I've been using here in this channel for a while. Things are going to get worse. So far, we've been right, unfortunately. I don't like to be right in these types of scenarios. I wish I could tell you that things were going to get much easier and costs were going to come down and people were going to have an easier time getting by. So continue to be on your grind, folks. Be ready for a life-changing shift, whether it's a job loss, job change, higher prices. I mean, be ready for it, folks. Invest. Look for opportunities. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. I'd like to read your comments and thoughts on this. What do you think about the farm shortages, the labor shortages on the farm? Is it going to continue to happen? Well, it looks like it because we've got several more years of this, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. But anyways, like to hear from you. Please let me know down in the comments. As always, keep stacking. Bye for now. Big love. Peace.